Hey guys, welcome back. Andrew here with Ambient Endeavors, and today we're checking out the newest from Universal Audio. It's their Anti, the 1992 high gain amp, and it's the latest in their growing stable of digital amp emulating pedals. And if there was ever a video or a piece of gear that kind of reminded me how out of my depth I am, this is probably the one. And so as I sat down to do this video, I kind of was presented with a couple different routes. One being to just kind of wallow in frustration and kind of bang my head against the wall trying to get up to speed on the shred metal genre, or try and, you know, kind of emulate some of those sounds, or to kind of pivot and really try and glean and take from this pedal what I could and apply it to the sounds and the styles that I like to write in, try and find some of its magic, try and kind of go down the rabbit holes that it leads me. And I think it's been a really fun exercise for me to kind of do the latter and really see how even gear that's way out in left field to me, that's on the surface pretty outside of my comfort zone or my depth, kind of see how I can use gear that maybe on the surface doesn't seem to kind of fit with the genres or sounds I'm writing in, but try and work with that gear to kind of find the magic and find the inspiration in it. So welcome into that journey. You just heard the opening sketch, which was a ton of fun to write, and so I'll start the video off with a couple thank yous and a couple disclaimers here. First off, huge thank you to my buddy Mark Johnston. He produced the drums in the intro sketch and was really a catalyst to kind of energize that track, kind of give it some direction and give it a foundation for me to write on top of, and so that was really fun and really helpful. Go check out Mark's video on the Antis. It's a fantastic walkthrough, a deep dive of all that it has to offer. And then a big thank you to UA for sending this over. It's really been fun to check out their growing stable of these digital amp emulators, and impressive to see kind of how the arsenal, how the catalog of these amps has grown. So we're going to dive into Anti. This video is not going to be a deep dive. It's not going to be a fully exhaustive feature exploration. I'm going to try and showcase some of the aspects of this pedal that impressed me, some of the ways that I kind of found avenues to use and leverage and write with it in the track, and kind of share from the perspective of a player who's quite outside the like metal and shred genre, how I see this fitting into the gear equation of someone that's either tangential to that or pretty new or naive to it like myself. Thank you for clicking on the video here. If you're new to the channel, please hit subscribe below. We have a lot of pedal and amp and guitar content that's always coming, and so I'd love for you to subscribe so you don't miss the future videos. And please drop a note in the comments if you've got something that comes to mind throughout this video, if you've got a question, a curiosity about the pedal, or really anything that we talk about or cover here on the channel. I love to chat with you in the comments there too. So we're going to breeze over just kind of an overview of Anti, talk about what it is and some of the features, and then I'm going to talk about a few of the aspects of this pedal that really kind of drew me in and kind of yielded some really fun, enjoyable time with it in writing that opening track and just kind of exploring its sound. So like I mentioned, this pedal is patterned after a 90s Peavey 5150 amp, big 120 watt metal head, and so you get on the face of the pedal some really amp-like controls as you'd expect. You have a pre-gain control on the top left here, your presence control for that high frequency presence, and then an output volume on the top right. Then you have your EQ section here with low, mid, and high on the bottom. You have some toggles in the middle row. This is not new to anyone who's seen these UA pedals. The format is all the same, and it's pretty fluid here. So you have your cabinet simulation options here. Make sure to register your pedal if you get one of these, because you get access to 3 more speaker cabinets there. You have a couple vintage 30 options. You've got a white 75 option, and then there's 3 more of those kind of hidden cabinets that you get, like I mentioned, as you register. In the middle you have the toggle to flip up to adjust some of these alternate settings that we'll get to in a second, or to adjust the knobs on the face, these primary settings here, or to store a preset. Then on the right hand side you have the channel toggle. So this amp features 3 unique channels: rhythm, crunch, and lead, and it essentially gives you a huge range of tone and gain. You get really pristine cleans in that rhythm channel, some really full rich distortion in the crunch, and then some pretty like wild insane tones in the lead channel. From there you can also add some saturation and some texture with built-in overdrive circuits. So you actually have a tube screamer circuit built into this pedal. You have an alternate overdrive circuit that has a little bit different voicing in it too that you can select, and there are controls for the overdrive settings. If you go to the alternate control scheme here, and you can adjust the overdrive, the tone of the overdrive, and the overdrive level. There's also a noise gain in this pedal, and there's just so much that you can control via the app as well. So if you have any of these UA amp pedals, if you end up getting the Anti, definitely explore their app, because you can fine tune and get at some features and some controls that are hidden from the face of this pedal here. So one of the things that's really pretty killer about the Anti is the huge range of gain that you get from this pedal. As you heard in the intro sketch, the kind of B section there can really pull back to some crystal clear, clean tone in that rhythm channel. You can get some nice kind of mid gain crunch in the crunch channel, and then you have this like huge, beefy, saturated, high gain tone as well. And so while some amps do kind of give you that like crystal clean to break up texture, you really don't have that top end of the like kind of extreme, insane high gain sounds that you do with Anti. So that's a really fun thing to just kind of have in the arsenal. I've got a lot of amps, but I'm pretty safely never going to own a 5150, but having it in sort of pedal form here to use as an amp in situations where I wanted to use a higher gain sound is really pretty cool. And I've also kind of just found it hard to really find that high gain amp type texture in pedal form. You can get some solid distortion pedals, you can use fuzz or stacking drives and compression and things like that, but it can be pretty hard to attain that really amp feeling high gain tone, and so you can get that with this pedal and really nothing else. I wasn't really using any other gain in the intro sketch, and so there's so much gain, there's so much texture, and so having access to that really thick, deep, bass heavy chugging sound, or the really searing high gain lead tones along with some crystal clean sounds in this pedal is really cool. The second thing, which I think is awesome, and I'm curious to see if UA continues to do these types of things, but having those overdrive circuits that you can place in front of the amp within the pedal here is a really cool feature, and one that I think adds even more versatility when you talk about the gain tones, the textures that you can get. And so we're going to dive into that later in the sound samples and just kind of hear some different samples with how you can use those overdrive circuits mixed in with the Anti's amp circuit. But a really cool addition to this pedal to add some versatility to the front end of the amp and kind of get a different feel and a different tone than just turning up the gain on the amp. The third aspect that really stood out to me as I explored the Anti is just the variety of different cabinet options that you have. Again, this isn't a new thing to this pedal. All of the UA pedals have a variety of different cabinet options, but I really kind of found as I was playing through some of them and just kind of finding tones for the intro sketch there that each of the cabinets really kind of gave a different voice and a different texture and characteristic to the circuit here in a way that I don't always hear with some other amp circuits. Oftentimes if you're running a deluxe reverb or something like that, you can play it through a number of different cabs and it more or less sounds like a deluxe reverb, but with the gain textures on here, with the different ways that you can dial in the circuit, I really found it to add a bunch of versatility to be able to choose between some pretty drastically differently voiced speaker cabinets and apply them to Anti here. So we're going to check out a few of those aspects. We're going to run through the range of gain that you can get from this amp. We're going to talk about those pedals, the circuits, the tube screamer and overdrive circuits that you can run in the front of the amp, and then we're also going to showcase all 6 of the different speaker cabs too. So we're going to have Anti at the end of the chain. We're going to be running Strymon DIG for a delay into a UA Golden Reverb before we hit Anti. And we're going to be using a Balaguer Ambient Select Espada, the blue guitar that you heard in the intro sketch. Check it out.